let's begin. Tell us something about yourself, Kshitij.
Mm-hmm. So I'm Kshitij. I'm from Jaipur originally. I moved to Pune, say in about 2004 approximately. I think I started with scuba diving. I'm a scuba diving instructor. But for the last year and a half, I've just been traveling. I've been chasing highlines and I've been chasing wherever flow artists are and wherever I can find more flow. So I think I've been living in my car for the last year and a half.
Tell us a little bit about the flow community in Pune. How is it there?
I think Pune is nothing like Bangalore is, where there are so many very evolved flow artists where people are doing this professionally and they're spending a serious chunk of their time on flow arts itself. So, in that sense, Pune is a much more nascent community. There's fewer people, but like everywhere, the people that you meet are so stoked about flow arts. That's just amazing to be in their presence. And at the same time, I feel that because it's so new, there is a chance for you to kind of push the scene a little bit, to push the space a little bit. You have that opportunity, even though you're a beginner yourself. You can actually go out and inspire a few other people to flow, maybe, or take lead on organizing flow jams. So there's a few artists in Pune. There's a few people who've been spinning since the last few years now. And actually, I met some flow artists when you came to Pune. So I had no idea they were there. So I'm actually pretty stoked to find more people who I don't know exist. And there's no structured flow art meetups that we do in Pune. It's mostly like whenever I'm there and I feel like spinning and I don't want to do it in my own confines of my own space and I want to get inspiration from other people and I want other energies around me, I'll just call a few people and be like, hey, I want to go spin some fire. You want to come join in? And it's so organic because I end up going and I do a couple of spins, and then most other people, even if they've never picked up a flow prop, they'd be stoked to be like, oh, hey, can I try this out again? Can I try this out? And then it just sort of grows from there. Sometimes you have people who come back to it. Sometimes you have people who try it once and they're like, okay, I don't want to do this. And then some people end up going and buying their own props and they be like, hey, I don't want to wait for Kshitij to come every time I want to spin. So that's amazing to see as well.
So tell us what got you into flow? Like, what were your three most favorite moments with flow arts?
Um, I think definitely the first time that I spun fire stuff, it was my friend Anirudh and Wasim who were there at this gathering. They had their staff and they were doing a spin and they gave me the staff to spin kind of like at the end of their burn. So there was just maybe 30 seconds left and you can't really hurt yourself at that point. And I remember spinning it and I'd be like, wow, this is amazing. Like this hit a chord somewhere deep down and I'd like to explore this more. This is very interesting. After that, the journey took a bit of a dark turn because the pandemic hit. I shut my business down and I was like, hey, I don't want to do this teaching of diving anymore. I don't want to run a adventure sport company anymore. I don't want to take money for doing something that I love doing any which ways anymore. So I didn't know what to do with myself. And at that time, the staff that I had was just a curtain rod. It's just a curtain rod with some cycle tire tube you've tied on the side, put a grip in the middle, and it helped me channelize all my negativity. I felt that in that depressive state, I was able to at least smile and feel endorphins and feel something positive about myself and sweat it out if nothing else. Even if you're struggling and you're hitting yourself again and again with the stake, it doesn't matter. At the end of it, your depression is a little controllable. You feel like you've got it. You're not really kind of going into quicksand. And then slowly, like it becomes effortless. You start doing the spin and you're not thinking of the mechanics of the spin anymore. And then that's just a beautiful space because now you can dance with the prop. Now you can listen to music and kind of start spinning to the music. So that's kind of where the journey went, and it was all nice after that. There was no depression. It was all peaceful. Life sort of started falling into track again, and I had discovered this beautiful thing. So there was something to explore and go out and experience and do something with it. But I think the second most kind of like the deepest moment I had with flow arts was when I was just doing one of my first few fire spins at my friend's house. And it was, I think, my fifth or my sixth, maybe my 10th spin, fire spin. And Shubhi, she's my friend, she just bought a brand new Bora staff, dragon staff. And she was cribbing about it because somewhere in the transit that lost some screws in it and some of the bits were not working, so it wasn't connecting properly. And she was cribbing that, hey, I paid so much money and I got such a shit product and this is not cool. So I was just like, hey, every staff has its own sort of like every prop will have its own personality. You have to discover it. You even if it's broken, even if parts of it are missing, it doesn't matter. You have to figure out how to do it. And then I took the stuff and I spun, and I don't remember where the next 6 minutes went. It was just like, there were times when the prop fell apart, it would break. But it didn't matter because it was just like discovering the own uniqueness of this particular prop. And it spins in a different way, but it's spectacular. Once you find out how it spins, then it spins perfectly. Once you find its center of balance. So that was kind of my second I would say, defining moment where I'm like, wow, this is incredible. There is the depth of this space is so much that I can keep going and I'll keep learning new things about myself. And I think the
That's
third, sorry,
that's amazing. Like that's so accurate.
yeah,
Like you don't learn just about the flow arts and the tricks, but you actually discover
yeah,
more self through the
yeah,
process.
yeah. So it's like, saying that, okay, I could be broken, but that doesn't matter. It's okay. Just give it a minute, try and understand yourself. And if you're able to find that rhythm, it might be different from all the other people's rhythm, but it works. And that's what kind of stuck. I'm like, okay, fine. This is good. This is deep. And then the third, sort of like deepest experience that I had was when I was spinning at Bloom and Green. This is a festival that happens south of Bangalore. And last year, the year before last, they had their second edition, which was the first time that I went there. And there was a whole bunch of flow artists over there, like literally everybody I could think of from the Indian scene who was there. Everyone was there. And I got the chance to spin for Shankar Tribe on stage for a brief moment. But that was spectacular. I think I felt a state of being where you're experiencing emotions, but they're not sticking to you. Like you'll feel anger, you'll feel jealousy, you'll feel elation, but you don't feel angry. You don't feel jealous. You don't feel the emotion itself. It just comes and it passes. So that's when I realized, like, oh, that's how deep of a simple prop can take you with flow. And this is what everyone talks about meditation. Like, I can't meditate for shit.
Yes.
I tried it, it doesn't work for me. But when I'm spinning, it seems like I'm in a state of being which is similar to what other people speak of when they're meditating. And I think that's where I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to experience, and I want to continue on with it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So flow arts for you in one word would be
Uh, Flow arts. I think it's important to define flow before we define flow arts. Because for me, flow is a little bit deeper than just flow arts itself. Flow is, and there's a book, The Rise of the Superman, which kind of articulates this perfectly. It's when you're moving your body from a subconscious space. Like your conscious brain is no longer defining how and what you do, and your subconscious mind. So that's the state of flow that I have felt, somebody coming closest to articulating it. And that can be experienced in about everything in your life. I've been able to experience it in adventure sports. So when I was diving, whether it's highlining or spinning fire or spinning a prop, you go into the state where you're not choosing what you're doing. It's sort of like it's just happening to you. And so that's sort of like flow for me. And then flow arts goes into a space which is a little bit performative. It's as much as it's for you as it's for someone else who's around you. And you're kind of feeding off the energy from everyone else. Because with diving, with highlining, the flow that I experience is it's very personal. There's nobody else over there. It's only me. There's no other individual energy. But with flow arts, it's just the energy of the people. like uh, like spinning at the Bloom for Shanka, watching a sea of people, just heads cheering on when the drop hits, everyone going crazy. Wow, that energy is very unique to flow arts. And for me, I think that's where flow arts, that's how I would think what flow arts is, sort of like a collective channelizing of energy into that prop.
Beautiful. Um, Tell us, how does flow art help you, or how does flow help you on a daily basis? Like, what are the biggest lessons that you have learned with flow?
um, I don't think my life would exist without flow or flow arts or any of these bits at all, because that's all that I do. Like, I don't do anything else. I don't have a job. I don't have a business. I dedicate all of my time to kind of experiencing flow. And it's just everything. Like, you learn so much about yourself and the world around you. You get clarity. None of these things, like, you would not go through the pain of spinning a staff, hitting yourself 100 times, if you're not clear to yourself why you're doing it. And so I feel the biggest kind of uh, the biggest lesson that flow arts gives, or flow in general gives to me, is that it helps me answer my why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And if I'm clear, I'm doing this because I want to experience flow, which is a beautiful state of being, then that's enough. I don't need anything else. I'm at peace within myself and I'm happy to do what I do. And it's not based on what somebody else is doing or what I could be doing better. It's just a state of experiencing. And that's great to be in when I can. Some days it's just shit, like you can't. The down times, you can't get into that state. You have to treat yourself with kindness at that point and be like, okay, can't do flow today, it's fine, you got to take some time off. But then you'll get back to it at some point. And so it's just everything. It's hard to say one thing which you learn from flow.
Yeah, beautiful. What were what were the challenges that you had to go through when it comes to flow? Like, did you receive did you receive positive feedback every time, or were there moments where you had to really fight for flow? Or how did your friends and family react to flow and you pursuing flow arts?
um, because I don't do it professionally. I don't have an artist page. I don't charge money for the spins that I do. um,
But you're
um,
damn good. You should.
no, I'm getting there. I'm absolutely getting there. Like, I feel I need to sort of like create a persona, like try and articulate to myself what it is that I'm presenting to other people when I'm actually in
Inviting.
front of them. Yeah.
Please.
But at the moment I'm not. And so for my and another thing is, like, my family is super supportive about whatever I do. And I'd already chosen an alternative career by trying to teach scuba diving before this. So they already kind of knew, okay, fine, this guy is going to do his own thing. You can't confine him to a traditional sort of like within the box of sort of thing. But in terms of my family, they were extremely supportive. They were happy I was doing something which is getting me out of my depressive state, and getting out of a negative cycle. So they were super happy about it. My friends, when I discovered flow, it was kind of during the pandemic. So there weren't a lot of people around me. There was very few people sort of like around me who witnessed the journey at that stage. And they would just look at me and be like, "What the hell? You just whacking yourself with a stick again and again? What's wrong with you?" But then it was the pandemic and nobody had anything to do, so it was fine. Like, they would also pick up the stick every now and then and be like, "Okay, let me try it out. Let me do this." Um, yeah, exactly. You know what? Like, hit yourself a few times and be like, "Okay, fine. Maybe not enough for today." Once the pandemic opened up, I think all of my friends were very supportive of what I do. Every time I would want to go out and spin fire, they would come with me. They would help me carry my props. They would help me source kerosene or whatever fuel we were using. Supportive and trying to find the right music, trying to talk afterwards, what's happening. So it's all been very nice. I don't think I've struggled with flow at all. It's just flow. Like it's happened by itself.
Amazing. That's
Yeah.
great to hear. As you mentioned that you did get hit a lot of times in the beginning, but you didn't stop at that. You know how much people don't like to like inflict pain upon themselves through
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
props. Yeah, during my classes when I'm teaching poi and poi, like you can imagine how many times you're gonna get whacked with the poi,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I had
Yeah.
to like create this idea that every time the poi is going to whack you, it's actually a kiss from the poi. So kiss for making the effort and putting in the time and in learning the poi and the techniques. So that's like a poi kiss or a poi
Nice.
that we just
Nice.
to keep going, to not get distracted, like ouch, ouch,
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can
Yeah.
get started with. So it's
Yeah.
like
And, with different props is different things. Like I remember when Apoor was trying to spin the yo-yo. So he got a yo-yo at one point, and me and Apoor went nuts 2 days, just literally 6, 8 hours a day, just trying to get the yo-yo going right. It's damn painful because every time you get it wrong, you have to spend the next 2 minutes trying to wind it. And when that happens hundreds of times in the day, you just get fried. I'm like, how many times am I going to do this again and again? But somewhere, I suppose, like it's a part of the journey. You can't. It's going to happen. uh,
learning in itself.
yeah,
Like, how are you gonna deal with this frustration? Are you gonna deal with it, or
yeah,
give up? So that is also like challenging your character in a way.
yeah, yeah. It's challenging your why. It challenges your why because you have to dig deep down and be like, why am I doing this again and again? Why am I hurting myself? And
Well,
if you can answer that to yourself, then it goes. It kind of goes. Like I remember one of the times I was trying to make the LED stuff. So I just put a 9-volt battery, put like a bunch of LED strips on the stuff, and I was spinning it, and I whacked myself with it. And I had like a LED mark straight across my face for 3 weeks, like a proper LED scar. Um, but yeah, yeah. I had to take a bit of a break for a few weeks, but I like for me it was like if I wouldn't be doing this, what else? This is the most fun thing that I can think of doing right now. So you always end up going back to it. Like,
yeah, that's great. So for those who are listening right now and you have been through the same situation with your props, see, all of us have been through that, so just keep going and
yeah, yeah.
get whacked and learn and progress.
And I and I love that analogy that every time you get whacked, it's a little kiss from your prop, because then it's a positive spin on something which can be painful otherwise.
Yes, absolutely. Because we have to keep going on.
Yeah,
Like just when we're about to give up, we are probably about to hit it.
yeah.
I remember one time I was watching this episode of How to Do Body Crossers by Drex Factor on his YouTube.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I tell you, like I had this massive black eye because I was trying this body crosser and the poi just went like straight in my eye and I was like what am I doing? I just hurt myself. Like, I should probably stop. But of course that day I stopped, but now I can do the body crosser. So I feel
Nice,
so happy about it. So
nice.
kind of sacrifice an eye for that.
Yeah, I never. That's pretty interesting because it's a flexible prop. Because I spin the staff and the dragon, and they're all sticks at the end of the day. Like if it's getting too tricky, you just chuck it off. It's not gonna get wrapped up around you and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Wow, nice.
How do you think how do you think flow arts affects your mental health?
Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely want to talk about this one. I think there are different aspects to this. I believe as of today, most people over on earth are on the spectrum one way or the other of um, some kind of a mental disability. It could be as something as small as just anxiety, just mild anxiety, or something as large as a chronic illness like schizophrenia and things like that. But we all have something. At some point we've all felt anxious, at some point we've all been depressed, at some point we've all felt all the negative emotions in our life. I feel that most of the flow art props act like giant fidget spinners. They're like adult fidget spinners. It helps you channelize your energy in a time where you're really struggling with yourself, and bring you back to the present. Because when you're in a negative loop, when you're depressed, or when you're super anxious, you're in this negative cycle where thinking about it is making you more depressed. And the more depressed you get, the more you start thinking. And so, somewhere it helps you break that cycle in a very positive way. It's not, it doesn't hurt you mentally, it doesn't put you down in any way. You're able to come back to the floor and do some flow. You will sweat. If you sweat, there will be some exercise and you will feel good for yours about yourself. So I think it's a beautiful way for people to, I mean, not everybody needs to take up flow and do that for the rest of their life. You don't have to spin, you don't have to be a great spinner to be a flow artist. If you think picking something up as small as a pencil and just spinning it in your hand lets you calm down for a second, you must keep doing that. You must continue doing that. And you must take the time after you do something to let yourself enjoy what you have done right now. And so, in that sense, I think flow arts is a brilliant tool for almost everyone. Like it doesn't matter who you are at what stage in your journey. You should have a prop which you can go back to.
What's your favorite part about flow, the
The
meditation?
favorite part of being a flow. Um, I think it's how calm my mind gets and how aligned I feel when I'm in flow. Whether it's an adventure sport or spinning fire or just practicing in the confines of my own house, is just a state of mind. It's a state of mind where you're not you're not responsible for. Actually, no, that's not the right words. You're not conscious of what you're doing in a lot of ways, and it's coming from your subconscious space. It's coming from a place which is much deeper than something that you can articulate or you can think or be at. It's the state of mind, the state of mind that you're in when you're doing flow.
As a flow artist, tell us what were your inspirations, who are your favorite flow artists, if you could name any.
Nice, I like this one. Um, I think a few people really like when I saw their videos, when I saw these people, I was like, wow, this is spectacular. This looks like magic. What they're doing should not be possible, but they're doing it, and it seems like they're having a great time doing it. Um, and it's a combination of Indian and international artists. For Dragon stuff, big inspiration for me is Zeb Flow, one of the OG old Dragon staffers doing stuff back when he was down in Goa for a few years. I think way back in 2018 or something like that, maybe even before that. But it was amazing. Like when I saw him spin, it was like he's having a blast. It did not matter what's around him. And the dragon staff has a mind of its own. He's not moving the dragon staff, he's just a conduit. It's kind of moving by itself. He was a big inspiration for dragon staff for me, in terms of flow. One another person that I really want to go and learn from, but he doesn't even respond to my text, is Tito's Fire Dancer. I believe he's the best contact sword artist. He is spectacular at it. Like it's like watching. it's not a prop. It feels like it doesn't have weight when he's spinning it. Feels like it's just gliding over his body, and that's just, oh my god, like that's the kind of mastery that I would like to. That's so inspiring to see. There's a few Indian artists also who have inspired me. I think the one of the biggest is Jongler Arjun. Um, he's been doing stuff when nobody thought flow arts was even flow arts.
Yes.
He's been juggling. It's like, and again, what he does looks like magic. When he balances four clubs, three clubs on his nose, when he's balancing a chair on his nose. He took my sword one day and he's decided to balance it on his shoulders. Then there's Swaroop. I think Swaroop and Tushal also, Poyet and Ra on Instagram. Both of these guys are like, they're telling a story. When they're spinning, they're real artists. They're like magicians on a stage, and it's a story that's unfolding in front of you. There's Supriya and Ashna. Both of them are amazing. Ashna, I got to meet Ashna for the first time, I think in 2016 or something like that, back in Varanasi Farms. And I saw this person spin a hoop, and I'm like, wow, this girl is dancing, and it seems like the hoop is dancing around her. She's not hooping, like the hoop is finding a way to dance around her. And I met Supriya at Bloom Green last year. I was like, where is this energy coming from? Like, it's just, she's sitting quietly in a corner and then she starts spinning, and it's like an explosion of energy suddenly. Like a 3 minutes of power punch spinning. She's gone upside down, spinning on her legs, she's spinning on her hands, she's spinning fast and slow. And just watching that energy release at that point was spectacular. I think these are the guys that inspire me.
That's great. That's amazing. Yeah, we got a lot of beautiful flow stars, flow art superstars here.
Yeah.
And what do you think is the future of flow arts community? Like, let's say in another 5 or 10 years, how do you think it's going to evolve?
Mm, I'm 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 trying to, I would like to witness how it grows because I don't know where people will take it. I think there are some amazing people out there.
A prediction that you can make about flow arts.
Prediction. I think somebody better start making LED props in India. It just has to happen. It is absurd that a prop which is LEDs on batteries costs you more than a MacBook Pro. Even if you were to buy it in the US for the first time, and then to bring it to India is absurd. I think we've been playing with fire. I think we're going to play a lot more with light as an element. And it's not just props in terms of like the kind of performances that we see as well. I believe we in India are at a point where we're discovering the art form right now, and we're discovering the artists. The art still has to be discovered. And I look at very large scale kind of theater circus shows that exist around the world. I mean, whether it's Cirque du Soleil or some spectacular artists doing some amazing theater circus work. I think I think that's going to grow many folds in India. I think what we are going to come out with once we come to age in our own way, the community comes up in its own way, we're going to see some very spectacular stuff. And it's not going to be similar to what exists out there. It's going to be different because it comes from a different place altogether, with its own flavor, with its own perfections and imperfections. But the quality will be of that level. Like we'll come to a point where we'll be like, wow, this is at an internationally presentable level. That would be spectacular. I see that happening already. I already see that happening. I see that happening with costumes. We're no longer what people are spinning with today, how they look, how they think, the amount of effort that goes into, like you said, building a persona, thinking who you are when you're spinning, when you're performing. That's already happening. It just has to expand to the entire performance itself. Lights, where people are sitting, what the music is, how people are perceiving it, um, evolution of props also could be very interesting to see. Like we've seen how a prop was what? A stick or poi or juggling balls. That's what we started with. And then now it's gone into rope darts for and all sorts of flexible stuff.
Puppy
Um,
hammers.
Puppy hammers, wow, puppy hammers are spectacular. Like such a beautiful combination of rope darts and poi, and just infinite in its own depth. Yeah. And then you have the staffs have started evolving into swords and dragon staffs. Juggling is evolving in its own way, going from balls to clubs to now people juggling whatever they can get their hands on. Juggling not just, yeah, staffs. People are juggling staffs. People are juggling dragon staffs. Like Jongler used to say, all roads to flow lead to juggling at the end of it. So I suppose somewhere that's very true. You get bored with one, you pick up one and you're like, hey, I have two hands. Let me try to spin it with both hands, two props. And then you're like, I'm okay spinning two props. Let me try and introduce a third. So then you start using other parts of your body. And it would be pretty interesting to see where that goes. But I
Yeah,
think it's already going in that direction and it's just unfolding already.
yeah, that's wonderful. I like what the Arjun says that all flow art roads lead to juggling.
Yeah, eventually you will do that only, no matter what you're spinning. Eventually you will be throwing it in the air and trying to catch it. Please keep making these videos, and I'm looking forward to the evolution of this podcast.
Great. Thank you so much, Kshitij. Bless.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.